everybody, this is Erica, the technology nerd who likes to film stuff, and here we have the HTC One M9, and right next to it we have the HTC One M8. I want to take a little bit of a look around the M9. What's different with both of these devices here is that we have a single camera, so a 20 megapixel versus their ultra-pixel sensor. Finally, they got rid of that ultra-pixel sensor, and they didn't keep that duo camera either. So I am happy with those upgrades. Got a dual tone LED flash here. Same thing with the M8. Otherwise, you can see we still have that injection molded plastic that helps with the antennas. And we should also have the NFC right around this area. On the side, I am very happy to see that we have the power button finally somewhere where I can reach it. That was always a problem with the M8, was that I could never reach that power button up at the top. I would always have to choke upward to get to it to turn off the device. So I do have to give props to HTC for changing the position of that power button. Now I don't have any trouble reaching it whatsoever. And we've got some volume rockers here. Still looks quite the same at the top, where we've got the IR blaster underneath here. And we've got a headphone jack at the bottom, micro USB charging port. So on the front, we have the ultra-pixel sensor. It used to be 5 megapixels on the M8, but it seemed that they had to keep that ultra-pixel sensor somewhere. Otherwise, when looking around this device, you can see that we have the screen part here that comes outward, and then we've got a band also as well, so it makes kind of a step. I think it gives it a nice look, gives it a new dimension. Although on some of the models, not on this one feels actually more smooth. I noticed that when I try to hold this in my hand, that this part kind of digs into my hand a little bit, so it's not really very comfortable. But this one actually feels more smooth of a finish than the silver one. That was the silver one I was feeling. So on this one, it's not too bad having that step, but on some of them, it feels a little on the sharp side. So we've got a 5-inch full HD display. HTC doesn't bother going the Quad HD route, and that's probably a good thing in terms of battery life. We've got a 2,840 milliamp hour battery inside of this thing. I'm curious to see what the battery life is like. I'm going to have to get my hands on one of these and play around with it, of course. So inside of this device, we have the Snapdragon 810 SoC. I did play around with the G Flex 2 a little bit, and I could see that it looks like they've got the 810 handling a little bit better. It's not entirely smooth, but I don't see it jittering like crazy and dropping frames. That's something I noticed with the G Flex 2. And even when playing around with the new Xperia Z4 tablet, I could see that with the 810 SoC, some of these devices really have some trouble with jitteriness and dropping frames, but this one is not too bad. I am hoping to see some performance increases on those devices, maybe even on this one as well. So we do have Android Lollipop on this device. When we hit this little card thing here, you can see that we do have the ability to access material design, but they did add their own thing here. If you hit here and you go underneath settings, you can go underneath this layout and hit card view, and then it goes with their Sense style. So you can choose either one if you'd like. You can see along the bottom that they've added an ability for you to customize your buttons, your on-screen buttons. So if you go underneath Personalize, you can see Change Navigation buttons. And then you can add some quick settings, or you can add notifications. And it looks like you can only have 4 of them. So we could just put Auto Rotate, for example. So say Done. You can see now we've got the Auto Rotate as our setting here. Turn off screen, that could be more useful. So now, there you go. You can double tap it. When you unlock it, you can turn it off right there. Another notable feature is the ability to change or edit a theme. So I created a couple themes for myself. Basically, if you go and you take a picture somewhere of some colors, let's just take a picture of the floor. You can see with this floor picture that we have the option for themes. So it's going to extract colors from this image, and it's going to make a theme for us. So it's somehow decided upon green. So it looks like we've got Freestyler, Kawaii, Sleek. You can see that the icons change as we're going through this. Also, what's nice underneath this theme designer, we can hit edit, and then you yourself, you can change the wallpaper. You can change the textures and the colors. So you've got various textures. And you can steal color from the wallpaper from other color palettes. You can change your icons, your sounds, your fonts. Then preview it all here and hit finish. So theme 4. We've still got our boom sound stereo front-facing speakers. This is now with Dolby Audio. So we've got some settings here, theater mode, internal speakers. You can tap it again and you end up with music mode for internal speakers. So taking a bit of a look at more lollipop features here, if you go down from the top, you have access to notifications. If you pull down again, we have access to our quick toggles. You can see that we have our flashlight. If you use 2 fingers, it will get right into the quick toggles. So I was curious to see what they would do with the lollipop once they released the next phone here, and it does still look quite Sense-esque to me. Underneath security settings, we have the screen pinning feature. So I'm happy to see that we still have this here. Then underneath sound and notifications, we have access to interruptions. So you can decide when to have interruptions. Always interrupt, allow only priority interruptions, or don't interrupt. This is something that we did not see when the M8 updated to Lollipop. So a little bit further down underneath sound and notification, we have app notifications so that we can choose various apps to work with the priority mode. So camera, you can block this so you don't get any notifications from the camera, or we can go ahead and decide to keep it underneath priority so that, just for example, if we do want to receive notifications when priority mode is on. So we do have access to some of these lollipop type features. You can see that they kept their Sense style underneath the app drawer. You can choose your grid size still. It's the same thing that we've seen before. We've still got access to our motion launch gestures, although it looks like we have a little bit more control over which ones we want to keep on and which ones we want to turn off. So if you go from the side, you can still access blink feed. If you go up from the bottom, you can still access the application that you were currently under. From the right-hand side, it's going to bring us right to the home screen here. And of course, if we take the phone and hold down on the button here, it's going to activate the camera for us. So the biggest change about this phone is the camera. We did get rid of that duo camera, but you'd still have the ability to create a nice bokeh effect. You can see that we have the bokeh effect here, selfie camera panorama. We can add a couple of more. So there's the photo booth setting that came with the HTC Eye camera, and split capture. So the bokeh effect, it tells you move camera within 2 feet or 60 centimeters of your subject. And then what it does is it essentially just blurs the background, and you can see on some images that you do see splotchy parts in the image. So here we have an example here of how it sometimes will blur out things that it shouldn't blur out. But I think that the overall effect is nice. So when selecting the standard camera mode here, you can see that this looks just like the M8 does here along the bottom. But we can go into settings here. You can control your makeup level. You've got other camera options. This is always enabled by default, lock focus during recording. I don't like having lock focus during recording. It makes me think there's no continuous autofocus, but there is. So you can choose your resolution here. And then we have for video quality, we now have access to 4K video. One thing that I'm confused about with this camera is I don't know if there's any image stabilization at all. So that's something I'm going to have to ask HTC about. I don't know if it even has digital image stabilization just like with the M8. That's really not a good thing. We're seeing other phones come out with optical image stabilization and also having digital image stabilization as well, so there's no excuse here. We've also got some fun editor modes. So if you go underneath the editor, You've got flare, where you can add some frames. It'll change the look of your image. Or you can draw on the image if you'd like. La 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 la. Just discard that. Then we've got effects and touch-up. This is the same thing that we've seen on the M8. You can contour faces, you can enhance eyes, you can get rid of the shininess or the oil on people's faces. Then effects. So they've added a couple of new fun things where you can superimpose things on the image. You can hit prismatic. And it creates like a kaleidoscope type of effect on your image. Then we've got double exposure. So we can select a different image here. It's just, here we go, pick this image. You can see that it superimposes the image. You can change it, background, foreground. You can blow this up a bit. Yeah, so you just gotta play with it. I'm not exactly sure what I would do with this, but I'm sure that it can create a nice effect. So it really looks here like the theme of what HTC has done is make it so you can superimpose. So it's superimposing things on these images. So we can say photo shape. Let's pick this guy again. Yeah, you can see we've got this triangle shape. You can create this other interesting effect. Then we have a part right down here at the bottom where you can change the styling here. This is the blending mode. So I'm sure all this is in the name of fun. And we've got elements. You can just change what you want to appear in your image. And I did a demo of Face Fusion in a different M8 video. And this is kind of uncanny and a bit creepy. So this is one of the eye features that we had with the eye camera. Also taken from the eye experience, we've got photo booth and split capture. Should have some nice selfie settings as well. You now have a live makeup setting. So even in video, and in photos here, you can change your makeup settings to try to get rid of blemishes and such on your face. So here we have the HTC Ultra Pixel front camera, better selfies and low light booth. So better low light selfies. We've got a photo booth setting, and you can change how you'd like the grid to be. 4 in a film strip or in a square. This is something that I did on the HTC One M8 update video as well. And then split capture. So you can either record a video or take a picture of yourself and what you're looking at the same time. So this is all that I want to say for now about the HTC One M9. As far as an upgrade over the M8, I still really like the M8, except for the M8 just doesn't have a very good camera on the back at all, so this would be the reason to upgrade to this phone, I believe. So let me know what you think so far. I hope to get my mitts on one of these so I can get a more in-depth look later on. So thank you everyone for watching. This has been Erica, the technology nerd who likes to film stuff. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. And check out my Patreon page. My Patreon page is helping me purchase devices like these, purchase them myself as a consumer. That way I can remain as objective as possible. So let me know what you think, and goodbye.